right now. You're in the middle of a bench press right now, and you got one or two choices. You can bail, you can fail, or you can adapt. Today, Mornings in the Lab, we talk about adaptability. It's that time of the day again where the sound starts, the loop begins, and it's another day in the gym. Good morning, nation. You got the red-faced guy here with the white hat, the white glasses, the black shirt. You got Keith Bilous joining here. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, Marty, and producer Christina Flynn. We're talking adaptability with our friend Adam House, the CEO of House of Bricks. I'm coming with you. We just did with a reminder first thing this morning. This show has language. Yeah, we drop a few F-bombs, S-bombs, B-bombs, every bomb in the book dropping for you today. So if you got children, woo, take a deep breath. Keith, take a deep breath. If you got children, put them in the room, put the headphones on, walk them out of the room, or sit them down and teach them about all the bad language that's going to come out of my mouth today. Yes. Or put the tip jar on the counter and say, hey, when Uncle Keith says, you're going to get $5. When old Johnny says, you're going to get $10. And when Marty says, wah, we're going to give you $5. Speaking of Marty, John, and producer Flynn, what's going on, nation? How are you guys today?
Why did Marty get the weird sound, man? That's what I want to know.
What are you talking about?
Oh, so listen, guys, we got Johnny with he's got the tweed hat on today. Johnny's got the tweed hat on today. He's got the black glasses, the black shirt on. Christina's in her traditional black with the red lipstick. Marty's rocking purple, some purple rain today with the less brunches, more crunches shirt. Was that mauve? Oh no, is that mauve? Is Marty wearing mauve today?
I think it's Heather Gray.
Is mauve a word? Is
light blue.
A word? Well, isn't it? Is it mauve, or am I off my rocker here?
I call it mauve, but
I think it's my sunglasses that are suggesting that it looks mauve to me.
It's light blue. Yeah.
But it's light blue. I'm offending my friend and my brother Marty 2 minutes into the show this morning with everything that I was dropping. And
literally looks like he wants to leave. He's like, why did I even show up this morning?
My boy's got thick skin over there. He's like, you got
4 minutes in. It's weird today.
He's saying you're going to have to hit me harder than that, man.
Oh man, it's the first morning. It's the first 15 minutes of the show. It's called the Morning Loop. It's where we get the show started. We're dropping you guys stuff that's unpredictable, information, entertainment, and fun around the loop here this morning. Hey, Adam House coming in. We're talking adaptability at the bottom of the hour. At the 15-minute mark, 60-minute mark, we're going to talk about remote work and this controversy that, hey, Johnny, Marty, apparently by 2027 remote work is going to be done. Nobody's doing remote work anymore. So everybody's going back to the office. You're like, what? Is that actually going to be a thing?
That insinuates you went to the office to begin with.
Well, that's the fucking problem.
Come on, man. You ain't catching me going back to some office. Hey, no. Yeah. My office is the world, brother.
I told myself in my 20s, I'm never going to an office.
I'm never doing it. Damn it. They're talking smack. You know you're on the right track.
That's it.
Oh, I love it. Good morning, Enzo. Good to have you here this morning. Good to see you in the comments there. And Enzo's like, I remember when this was PG and then John joined. Yeah, Johnny joined and everything went to hell in a handbasket. But
I was the line of the sand where everything got crazy. Was that it?
That's it. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So I have some
that's a compliment, though.
I have some exciting news that popped through my inbox this morning. That I woke up and I was heading to the gym this morning, and the old inbox thingy went. I was like, "Oh, what's this? That's exciting to me." So I wanted to share something with you guys this morning that just makes my blood excited, makes my energy go high, and it's this news that we received in the last 24 hours that we are being celebrated here in the lab with a little bit of an accomplishment. So a week ago, like less than a week ago, I put up a flag and I was like, hey, We just accomplished something. And then a week later, the flag went even a little bit higher. So nation, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank all my great colleagues on the show. And I want to celebrate all of you with this little accomplishment that, according to today, Mornings in the Lab has achieved this accomplishment of 75,000 views.
Damn, talk about compound.
Boom, boom, boom. So a little over a week, 10 days ago, we were at 45,000 views. We're up to 75,000 now, team. So we are doing the right things. And that's only happening because you guys are showing up. You guys are tuning in the mornings. You guys are tuning into our shorts. You're liking our content. You're coming back day after day. And I am forever grateful for that. The only morning show men that helps you guys get going, help you guys achieve those audacious goals. We're all about accountability. We're all about helping you achieve what you want to achieve without hitting the snooze button. So I thank you for every single one of those views, every single one of those minutes. And hey, John, Marty, Christina, when folks are hanging out with us, they're not just dipping in for a second or so. They're like, hey, I want to listen to a song with you guys. And listen, we're not talking to like Led Zeppelin 13-minute songs. We're not talking about a Post Malone 2-minute song. No, they're like hanging around for 3, 4, 5 minutes. So we thank you guys for hanging out with us every single day. We love having you guys in the room. What do you think of that, Marty, Johnny? 75,000 people showing up on a regular basis to come see us.
Well, it tells us that we're basically putting some valuable shit on the table for people in the morning.
I think we are. Marty, what do you think of that, brother?
Hey, man, happy to hear. I've been here since day one, so it's good to see, man.
You have been, absolutely. Tina?
That's the part people don't talk about. It's fucking hard to be grinding when you're at 100, 200, 2,000.
Yes.
But you talk about the power of compounding. 45K 7-10 days ago to 75K. And let's be clear, we don't give a fuck about those numbers. We give a fuck about what those numbers represent. And those numbers represent putting valuable content out for our audience.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate that, Tina. You're absolutely right. And good time. Listen, good time. We appreciate you. You've been hanging out with me, myself, and Marty since day one, and very, very grateful for that. And Enzo, my brother from another munner from the future. We know that you are a big part of those 75,000 views, so I very much appreciate that very much, Enzo. And to all you on the horizontals, I appreciate you guys as well. But listen, we're going to keep the conversation going with the morning loop, and something more fell into my inbox over the weekend. And Marty and John, I got something to throw at you guys. You guys are going to say, "What the fuck is this?" So, I was listening to a podcast last night, and I don't listen to many, but I listened to a podcast last night, and listening to it and was like, fuck, this is really good. These humans are great. I love the intonation. I love the content. And I thought, geez, this is awesome. Who are these folks? And then I was like, oh, really? I was surprised. I had a little laughter. And I thought, geez, I want to share this with Marty and John and Christina, see what they think. So I want to put something on here. Jimmy, we're going to run this, the Google's one-click thing here. I got it up on YouTube. But I want to share this with you guys. Google has a product called Notebook LLM. It's a large language model based on a notebook. We're going to talk a little bit of AI for a second, Johnny and Marty. So John, put the fax machine hat on. Marty, put your future hat on. And I want you to enlighten me with what you are going to hear and see. Well, I'm not going to see, but enlighten me with what you're going to hear next. Check this out. Hold on a second here, Jimmy. I can figure this out. Okay, we're going to do this here. We're going to go share screen, and I'm going to do this. Boom. Okay. Check this out, guys.
I hear something. Is it coming?
Oh, is it not on?
Nope.
There you go. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, I don't know if it started from the beginning though.
You guys hear that?
Yep.
Keep listening. Keep listening.
Turn it up if you can.
Okay, so you guys heard that.
This is in a wrestling jiu-jitsu setting we're talking about, correct?
That's correct. Yes. And Johnny, what you heard, Johnny and Marty, none of it was real. There was not a human being recording that. There was not a human being speaking that. There was not a human being with all the banter in between it. There was not a human being doing anything that you heard during that clip did not include a human being at all. The entire
I didn't hear anything or see anything. Just throwing that out there.
You didn't hear it?
Yeah,
No.
I heard it though.
I didn't hear or see anything.
Let me put it back in.
Try it again. It's important.
Put it back in because it is important because it's actually kind of crazy, man. It's
I already got a story for this. This is crazy shit, man. Crazy shit.
Marty, you got this?
Mm-hmm. Still don't hear anything.
Weird. I can hear it.
I got it.
I hear it now. Wow.
So the point is that entire thing is AI generated, Marty and John. None of that is real.
Wow.
The entire thing you heard there did not have a human involved. How it worked, somebody took a document, a PDF that AI wrote. A human didn't even write it. A human didn't write the document. A human didn't put the document inside the application, and a human didn't say anything there. And then it was portrayed to us, and you listen to it. So just kind of wrap your head around that whole experience that none of it was real. Nothing of what you heard existed or happened in real life. Jon Andersen, comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's funny enough. Two things I point out about this. So I've actually had a few different phone calls with different companies I was looking to do something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But I literally picked out that it was not a person. And I said point blank, I said, "You're not a real person, are you?"
Really?
Yeah. And the AI said, "No, I'm not a real person." Swear to God. And, you could hear it in like the little subtleties of the voice. You start to hear, it's almost like there's not enough variance. Like that sounded, these words are almost too, anyway, I just able to pick it out. Then the flip side is this. So I've actually had, I'm just going to protect the innocent. Yes. I had a family member get a call from me asking for money. And they said it was dead on me. Guess what?
Wow.
Wasn't me. So I literally had to reach out to, my closest family members, the ones that would be, subject to me getting in trouble or me having trouble and coming to my rescue and say, "Listen, this isn't going to happen. So don't fall for this shit. If you think there's a problem, text me and I'll tell you if I'm in trouble."
Well, and it's interesting, Marty. I'm going to come to you in a quick second here before we keep the show rolling here. This is happening more and more often, and it's funny because I've talked to my mom and dad about this. I said, guys, my mom and dad are in their 80s, and I'm like, listen, if I phone you for asking for money, it's not me.
Yeah, literally. I mean, point blank.
I'm not going to ask you for money over the phone. So don't think me. Don't, and it's something, nation. We got to protect our parents because you heard that, and you heard Jon Andersen. Jon Andersen's done a few things in his life. Actually, coming up in an hour, Marty's going to interview Johnny about what it was like to be the world's strongest man going through this competition. But John's accomplished a few things, and if you have a profile, if you have content of yourself on the internet, it's very easy for somebody to make Tina. It's very easy for somebody to make Marty. It's very easy for somebody to make Keith. And here's the reality, nation: because we're making 10 hours of content a week, Tina, it's getting easier and easier and easier for somebody to make us. And Marty, what do you think about that whole thing about somebody making Christopher Martin and pretending they're you and it's not even you, Chris?
It's scary, man. It's really scary. It's it can discourage you to not want to continue to put yourself out there. But I mean, we can't do that. We got work to do.
Yes.
But just got to be mindful and keep people aware of these type of scams. I'm actually glad we're talking about it because it's not something you think about daily.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm telling you, they go after the public, a lot more. I mean, I can't tell you how many there's been. I've had copycat Instagram pages, copycat Facebook pages, to where like one of these Facebook pages was actually reaching out. They were somehow able to cross-reference, reach out to my old customers from a fake page and start talking to them, and was like, literally, I had another customer reach back and said, "Hey, are you okay?" Of course I'm okay. What's up? Well, why did you ask me for a few $100? I said, I didn't ask for a few $100. And I had to trace it all the way back to a fake page, and then the crazy part is I report this son of a bitch, and Facebook tells me, no, you can't take it down. Okay. I'm the real one, Jesus Christ, look at that page. They're doing a lot of illegal shit over there. And I'm sitting here trying to tell you, shut that down. And you're saying they're the real one.
Yeah.
So it's a
That's
tough
crazy.
nut to crack, man. I had to have probably 25 people report that thing before they took it away.
No kidding. Tina, give me something on the personal branding thing before we move on to the next segment here on the accountability check-in. But lean into the fear around how this fake stuff can have an effect on somebody who's personal brand and what we're building and what you're an expert in. Talk about how somebody can control their narrative, how somebody can control their brand before somebody else gets a hold of it by doing things like this. Tina.
Well, listen, it's a guarantee, right? A couple of things we talked about in terms of personal brand and entrepreneurship, failure, and now add this one. It will be, if you are out there in any way, shape, or form, you will have this experience. So one, develop close relationships with your community and with your audience to let them know from the jump. That's never going to be something that I'm going to use. There's a lot of best practices that we saw, Keith, in Web3. Scams happening all over the place. It means that you as an individual publicly and your community have to become hyper vigilant to any communication. Expect that it's fake, expect that it's a scam, and then go towards the other way with it. The second part is that, control your narrative. If you want to be out there, if you want to be building a personal brand, if you don't fill in the story, somebody else will, which means there's a lot more risk associated with what you're trying to do. You have to develop trust before you're putting it in an instance where somebody's not going to trust you.
That's it. Build your brand before somebody else does. And what we're going to do is we're going to build some accountability. It's what we do every single day around this time. We're running a couple minutes behind. We're going to come back in a minute. John's going to go for a break. Marty's going for a break. Tina's going for a break. I'm going to give you guys something which is going to help you guys move forward today. And then we're going to lean into a big topic around remote work. And apparently the world's all going back to work 2027. Who the fuck's doing that? Hey, listen, I know that you want change, but here's the question. Are you willing to change? Because here's the truth. You can't have a better business, career, or life unless you become the change agent. You want more success? Break those old habits. You want better results? Change the way you think. You want a different life? I have an idea for you. Start doing things differently. Because if you're not willing to hold yourself accountable for the life you want, you can't expect things to change because they're not going to happen by accident. Because ask yourself, if you want that change, you got to be willing to make the change. Think about it all you want. Think. But actions speak louder than those thoughts. There's the accountability check-in coming to you here in the roll in the Mornington Lab Show. All right, bringing the team back here. Waiting for John and Marty. They're all just busy doing their thing here. Yes, there comes Marty. So guys, Enzo, you did come back to us 6 months ago when you met us. And yes, amazing what you guys have achieved in that time. Thanks, Enzo. I appreciate you, man. We've helped you be a better version of yourself. Well, you know what, Enzo? You've helped me be a better version of myself. And you've helped Marty be a better version of himself. Everybody tuning in is helping us. Listen, when we get up every single day and we're like, hey, I wonder if anybody's going to show up. And then people do show up every single day. It's an incredible feeling. And we're very, very grateful for that. So Young, good to see you here as well in the lab. We got Johnny joining us here. So guys, I got a topic I want to throw on stage before we bring Adam Housen in 9 minutes. And we're going to keep rolling through this. But we have something that Marty threw onto the table for us yesterday. And 2 weeks ago, we did a hate on with Dana White. And we were talking about Dana and just the philosophies of going to work and so forth. Well, Dana put something up yesterday, a couple of days ago, and I want to put it on the table here and talk about it with you guys. Jimmy, let's roll up on the horizontal. We're going to put the video on how Dana White treats his employees at the UFC, and we're going to relate that to this whole theory of by 2027, apparently everybody's going back to work. Check it out.
If you work for UFC, so I worked in the hotel business. When I was young, you get these fucking kids that just got out of college that are your supervisor or boss or whatever. And they got that bullshit. If you're fucking 5 minutes late, you get written up.
Yeah.
If you work for UFC, so I worked in the hotel business. When I was young, you get these fucking kids that just got out of college that are your supervisor or boss or whatever. And they got that bullshit. If you're fucking 5 minutes late, you get written up.
Yeah.
3 of them and you get a fucking this, that, so many and you get fired. When you treat people that way, at a fucking job, it's disgusting. And the company that I used to work for used to tell us all the time, if you don't like it, there's 100 people waiting for your fucking job.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow, I'm that replaceable, huh?
Yeah.
That's a great fucking feeling to go to work and every day and say, you don't even really matter here.
Yeah.
At the UFC, if your fucking kid has a play or your kid has a game or a practice, you better fucking be there.
That's cool.
We're all grown-ups, man. And my team, they're as passionate as I am about the sport. You're a grown-up. You know what you need to do. You know what your fucking job is. You know what needs to get done. It's fight week or whatever. But don't not be a part of your family. When my employees go to work, I want their family.
And Marty, I appreciate you, brother, for sharing on the stage here this morning. So center stage, we're putting a key topic on this table. Apparently by 2027, nation, CEOs expect workers to be back in the office 5 days a week in a few years. And this new survey comes from Amazon announcing that its employees are, let me clear my throat, Tina, are expected to work full-time starting next year. In other words, there are many organizations now that are saying to their humans, human, you are a child. You now have to come to the office so we can supervise you and put you to work. We don't trust that you're able to do your work remotely, or we don't trust that you're able to deliver results remotely. So two themes going on here. First of all, Dana, UFC, congratulations. I love that attitude. I love that approach. And I love that one thing he said, John, Marty, Christina, which is, I want your family to love where you're going to work and where you're spending your time. That to me is golden, because when I'm working with Johnny or Marty or Tina, I want Terry going, holy fuck, John, I love how much fun you're having with the team over there. And I love, John, that you're committed to this whole thing. And I want Tina's family going, Tina, I know you got to make some sacrifices for us because we believe in what you're doing over there. I love those things that Dana is talking about, but let's go around the table on the statement that, and I'm going to start with you, Johnny. By 2027, apparently, everybody's going back to work. What's your opinion on that? What's your thoughts on that? I know you've never worked for anybody before, but John, what's your thoughts on that this whole bullheadedness that we're all going back to work? Jon Andersen.
Goodness gracious, man. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's like, I guess this doesn't help the masses when I say this, but you made the choice to get into that boat to begin with. So if you want to have someone else holding on to your steering wheel, you're going to have someone telling you what to do. You made that choice that you were going to be okay with it. So now that whoever it is decided to turn left, get ready to turn left.
Yeah. Tina.
So I'm going to argue. I don't know if everyone makes that choice. And I know the reasoning behind it, but there's a lot of complicated factors that people are facing, socioeconomic reasons, that they have no choice. That doesn't mean it has to continue like that forever, but where they are initially may not be a choice. Now we are in this day and age where, okay, there's ways that you can do this differently. You can build a cash flowing business online in a much different way. But initially, I'm not sure that everyone has that choice.
Yeah. Marty.
Man, I could go in so many directions with this, but yeah. I'm kind of not surprised, We look at this whole wave started because of, the whole pandemic and COVID. And that didn't last forever, and we're a couple years out from it, so I'm not surprised. Then you got all these office buildings, people are struggling to sell, people trying to turn them into apartment buildings, they're struggling for that too. So they just throwing money down the drain. So it's like we might as well put the office buildings back to use. It's like I said, I could talk about this all day, but I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, Marty, I think you just from my point of view, from my POV, you just hit the nail on the proverbial head. And Good Time talks about it here too. Because the companies can't sell their buildings, so they need to have them back in office. And here's the reality. And this is where I struggle, and this is where I get frustrated. We got a bunch of executives and CEOs. They're all my friends. Love all you guys, because I know you guys all like to wear sunglasses and hats to work and nice John Varvatos sweaters. And I know you guys all want to be a rock star like me. So I get it. I totally get it. I get it. I understand that you guys love to go to the ivory tower. You're like, hey, fuck, I wish I could go sit in the chair like Bilous does. Rockstar gets behind the mic. I get it. I understand all of that.
I like this, Keith.
I just want you to be truthful with your team. That the reality is, when you sit down and look at your books, you're like, hey, we just built this building, Johnny. Johnny's like, yeah, we built the building. Johnny, there's nobody in it. Holy fuck, man. Look at our books. We have no value on our books. And Good Time is saying that the value of our business is not as high as it used to be because there's nobody in our building. And because we can't lease the floors below it, and because nobody wants to come to work, the value of our building is nothing. So I just wish that CEOs would be truthful with their teams, which there's this reality that there's a lot going on here. And it's not just about coming back to the work. It's that there's buildings in play, there's leases in play, there's values of there's all these buildings in the middle of big urban downtowns, and you got these governments saying, but Johnny, why don't you have your team back to the office? Well, but Keith, I don't want to bring them back to the office. Yeah, but John, you're an upstanding citizen of Winnipeg, and you have 30,000 square feet of building, and there's nobody in it. Yeah, but I want to be a rock star like Keith. I want to get behind the microphone. No, but you got to bring them to work. The point is, nation, I'm just tired of CEOs bullshitting their team. I'm just tired of the CEO saying you got to come back to the office for what? Because there's no other reason. And the last time I checked, Marty, some of the greatest pieces of art and music were created collaboratively. So this whole argument that you can't create and you can't collaborate in the same room is bullshit. Because some of the greatest music, some of the greatest films were not created in the same room. So I do understand that there are certain buildings and certain work where we all have to get together and do it on site or do it in an office or do it in a facility. I get all that. But for the most part, let's just be truthful. Let's stop fucking talking about there's reasons why we think we need to have our people back, when the reality is it's very much a real estate play. That's the truth. It's more of a real estate play than anything to get people back to the office. So
you can fight it, but this shit's not going away.
No, it's not.
There's only going to be a certain generation of people that you might be able to actually boss back to work, because we're suckers. We're a little bit older and we grew up a little bit differently. Yes. I promise you, one generation left, and you cannot boss these people around. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, part of that too, and which I love to see, and we actually hit a stat in one of the shows prior, was that this younger generation, like 70% of them are driven by purpose, which now when you're driven by purpose, all of the rules change. And that's the thing that I, really, when it comes down to it, if these leaders would be more concerned with changing their team's lives,
yes,
as well as changing their customers' lives, then the equation would be more complete. And it would work better, and everybody would be happier, bosses, employees, and clients and customers.
Yes.
More like shareholders' lives.
That's right. That's right. Johnny, question for you before we bring Adam Host here in 2 minutes. We're going to get to the fit tip here in a quick second. Johnny, you got 3 young daughters that are growing up and working their way into the world. Do they think about going to work in a building? I know that you're like, I haven't worked in a job anywhere, but your daughters are their own humans. Do they have a desire to go work somewhere? Are they intrigued by this remote work type stuff, or what kind of things do they think about, John, the girls?
Well, because they're driven by purpose, because I pounded that into their heads, they don't really care. It doesn't make a difference where they're going to work, because they're going with the idea that they've got something, they're making a difference. So whether they're working from their homes that day or they're working from their office, it really doesn't matter to them. They just know that they're driven to make a difference.
I'm going to bring Adam Host in a quick second, but I'm going to wrap this comment up. In 2014, I wrote an article. I published it on Medium. It was called "Why Are We All Going to Work?" We all invented this thing called the internet, and we all can get work done. So if we focus on results instead of getting the work done, I believe magic can happen. So work should not be defined by a place. Work should be defined by results. There's my statement. We're going to bring Adam Host in to talk about this as well in a couple of minutes. But first, we're going to do this. Marty.
Let's get it.
Get it, Marty.
Come on, man.
All right, we got the fitness tip for today. We're going to talk about building muscle, right? It's not just here to shape your body, but it's here to increase your metabolism. That's a key that most people don't think about when they're in the gym. So here's the connection. Muscle tissue burns more calories at rest compared to fat. So when you put all this time in to build muscle, when you go to work, when you go to sleep, you're going to burn more calories, which will in turn and eventually have you burn more fat. Strength training keeps your metabolism elevated for hours after your workout, thanks to excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, also known as EPOC. All right. If you want to boost your metabolism, you got to focus on 3 exercises, 3 big lifts me and Johnny talk about every week on here. You got deadlifts. Work your entire posterior chain, activating large muscle groups, glutes, hamstrings, and back. Okay? We got squats. You know, I love squats. I'm hitting squats today. I don't know if Johnny and Keith are hitting squats today, but I am. All right. This is going to engage every muscle in your leg. All right. It's going to work your core and it's going to work your lower back. Super powerful movement, heavy lift that challenges your metabolism by working the biggest muscles in your body, which are on your legs. You got bench press, chest, shoulders, and triceps. Big time compound movement. I hit that yesterday for International Chest Day. And this is going to hit your upper body muscles, and it's going to increase your overall muscle mass, which is also going to help your caloric expenditure. These full body movements engage multiple muscle groups, and it's going to lead to more calories burning during your day after your workout. Hit those big lifts, and that's your fitness tip for today.
There's the fit tip of the day from Christopher Martin. I was getting caught with the buttons there. And we're going to bring in this guy here. And I got some music for him this morning. And I blew the budget. Ooh, check this out. Check out the entry there, Marty. Ooh, listen to the build. Oh. Just building in anticipation. And no, we're not anticipating Johnny coming out of the restroom right now. But we got a young man joining us from the stunning hills of Michigan. We're bringing in our friend who's a builder, and he builds things brick by brick by brick. And we all know to build things with strength, we got to build a strong foundation. So today we are more than pleased to welcome with this massive introduction, our friend. Is he our friend, guys? Our friend Adam House.
Yes, he is. Adam, what's up, brother?
Looking sharp,
up,
Adam. Looking sharp. New headphones.
Oh, Adam, you're styling and profiling today, brother. You're muted there, pal. Get you off mute. Get you off mute there. There.
It's not me.
I can hear him.
Okay. I think it's.
Can you guys hear him? I cannot hear him.
I got him.
Okay, good. There you go. Yeah, good. There you go. What's going on, Adam?
How's everybody doing this morning?
Doing great, brother.
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing great. Keith, I'm going to have to expose you on this call.
What? What did you say?
Let's hear it, baby.
I got to expose you on this call. So Keith and I were talking last week. He was on FaceTime. And we talk about health and fitness on the show, curls, right? Crunches before brunches. Keith, what were you drinking, my friend?
I was drinking a Pepsi.
Just own it.
I was drinking a 1 liter Pepsi Zero, Mr. House. So there was no sugar in it. Marty, hold the buttons back. Johnny, hold the buttons. But I needed a caffeine fix, and I crushed the Pepsi Zero. And I never drink Pepsi Zeros. And I'm on this call with Adam and his team. And sure enough, I reach my hand over, I pick it up, and as soon as I'm drinking it, I'm looking at Adam's face, and I'm going, "Fuck, I'm done. I'm done. House is down."
John and Marty, please talk to him about zero sugar drinks. Okay, it doesn't mean it has the same effect on your body as sugar. Okay, it's aspartame, right? You're poisoning yourself. So I had to do it, man. I didn't want to start the show out like this, but we're all. You said we're friends, so I'm a real friend. I'm going to tell you the truth.
That's it. The real friend will be honest.
That's it. Yeah. I appreciate you keeping me accountable, Mr. House. I appreciate you keeping.
Come on, Keith.
That's it. Adam's here to talk today about adapting or dying. We're talking about the brutal reality of business today. And you know what, guys? Success isn't guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. We all wake up, we try to do our things. It's not guaranteed. And why sticking to your old playbook is killing you. Adam, 40% of businesses fail because they don't adapt to market changes. I know you jumped in here at the end of our last segment, though, about remote work and so forth. But 40%, they fail because they don't adapt to market changes. Adam, do entrepreneurs do they fall too in love with their original ideas, refusing to adapt, refusing to pivot? And are they too loyal to an initial vision? Adam, talk about the power of adaptability and what we can give entrepreneurs something to think about to help them move through adaptability and winning. Adam.
Yeah, the question really in anything when you're trying to do something great is, do I adapt or do I press through? So there's a famous saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But when do you know that what you're doing is actually not working? So it's something you have to think about daily. And this is where the power of coaching, mentorship, good friends like me, Keith, the Pepsi is not working for you. Stop drinking it every day. Okay. So it's time for you to adapt or you're going to die. So this is the question, you know, and it's tough. There is no right answer, but as an entrepreneur, Keith, I know what you're doing is incredibly difficult. You know, launching a show, making a worldwide impact, and I'm glad to be a part of that. So it's just, when do you grind? When do you adapt? And it's really it's a tough question to answer.
Yeah. Tina, when you hear the word adapting, what do you think about that? When you hear, you know, you've been an entrepreneur yourself, Tina, and so forth, and adapting is the hardest thing. And I open the show up, which is, you know, you're in a squat, and sometimes like, fuck, I can't get up. You can either fail or you can blast your way to the top. Why is it so hard for entrepreneurs to adapt, Tina? And why do we get so focused on a initial vision without moving past it?
I think that's in a lot of cases what we think got us to that point and that moment in time was, oh, well, I think differently. And this is what got me here. What the challenges of the struggle is you face your ego. And so if you've got this big vision, you start something, you make a lot of promises to a lot of people when you're starting as an entrepreneur. And you're saying, look at me, I'm doing something real different and y'all don't know it. And then if you have to face changing that vision, even though that is 100% a guarantee, what you start with will not be what you end up with, your ego takes a really big hit. And it says, well, fuck, if I went out there and I told all these people I was doing this, if I change it, does that reflect on me poorly? Does that reflect on my product poorly? Does that mean they're not going to have trust and faith in me? And I think those are really difficult things to admit as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think it's just, Johnny, you know, John, you are a man of adaptability. Strong man, bodybuilding, wrestling, you know, you've had to adapt your entire life. There's this old cliche, adapt or die. It's the oldest cliche in the book in many ways. But when you hear that word adapt, John, you know, it's a simple word, but it means so much. Lean into that for us, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you know, I figured out how to do all this shit on my own, my way. I didn't have the skills to follow the pack, so to speak. And so I go back to like some of the things that this is just what in my mind, what I hear and what I feel. So in all of my ventures, you know, I'm always carving my own path, you know, whether it be entrepreneurship or athletics or whatever it is. There's always this, we're always taking steps, you know, there's no question. You got to take daily steps. Then the question is, do those steps have to just be slightly changed a little bit here and there? That's just these little tiny pivots, you know, which is obviously a part of adapting. And so in my mind, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a certain level of progression. And what I feel, it's almost like I feel wind in what I used to have hair, you know, I can kind of feel it, meaning that the steps and the pivots that I'm making are keeping that forward progression at pace that I'm pleased with. And if I find that if I don't feel that wind through my hair, so to speak, which is kind of a feeling I get in my ventures, then I know that those pivots need to be stronger, or to be a little bit more aggressive to find that path that's going to bring me back to where I feel that wind in my hair. But keep in mind, the steps never stop. That's you're stepping every day. Question is, do you just need to align those things a little bit differently?
Yeah, very true. Adam, we'll get you up on the vertical here in a quick second to make sure your auto's working. But Marty, question for you, brother. Again, I've been a fan of your journey, Marty, which is why we're hanging out together. Jeff Bezos is quoted as saying, the best entrepreneurs don't change. The best entrepreneurs don't adapt. They create change. You did exactly that. You're in Los Angeles, pandemic happens, and you're like, holy fuck, I either got to adapt or die. And you made that change, Marty. Lean into that whole idea of not adapting. You created change for yourself. Talk about that, Chris.
Oh, yeah. So I kind of just believe, you know, I'm in charge of my reality. I create my reality. So, you know, I'm sure Johnny felt some of the effects of the pandemic in California. It was crazy out there, man. So
I went to Mexico for 6 months, brother.
Well, I ain't got the lake house in Mexico. Right? I ain't got it yet. Not yet. Maybe when I'm 52 or 50, you know, maybe. But you know, I got one or two options. I can sit here and bitch about it, or I can, you know, make my reality better than what it's supposed to be. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize we have control of that. So, you know, take the necessary steps. And in that case, I had to get my own equipment. I had to work out outside. I had to create my own workouts. I had to run the hill. Forget the gym not being open. And I had to kind of create my own positive environment because I didn't have that gym community anymore. So just going against the grain pretty much.
That's what really struck me when I met you, Marty, is that you're like, okay, everything's close. I got to figure it out. And you absolutely adapted because it was like, if I want to make money, I got to adapt. And I know it's such an overused word, but Adam, is adaptability just a cop-out for people who don't want to face hard decisions head on, and it's just easier not to adapt? Adam.
Yeah, just checking to see if my mic's working now. So is that better?
Oh, I don't got you on the vertical. I got you no audio on the vertical there, pal. So, Johnny, is adaptability a cop-out for people who don't want to face hard decisions head on, Johnny?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think what it comes down to is first off, you have to make sure that you've got the balls to be taking those difficult steps every day. Yes. And if that part's in place, then the little pivot of the step is just kind of a natural part of the process to be successful. But if someone is, you know, basically using that if they're using that as an excuse, it's because they're not showing up every day. They're not taking those difficult steps, and they're not owning those difficult steps. Then, you know, that little pivot or that little adapt is just part of the process.
It's funny because I was telling Tina with someone before the show here, I did a big Peloton ride, I did a big workout, and I'm often reminded, and John, Marty, think about this when we do weights, right? When we finish a set, this thought process of zero resistance, get rest in, because what you're not doing is you're not celebrating what you accomplished. You're getting yourself ready for what's about to come next. And I love that because that's about adaptability, right? It's not about really worrying about, oh yeah, I just hit 250 on the bench. Good for you. Are you going to do 255 next? How are you going to adapt to hit 255, to hit 260? How are you going to adapt to hit more? We talk about Rich, right? And how Rich had to adapt after losing his arm in Iraq, coming back to America. And he's like, holy fuck, I only got one arm now. I got to do something about this. He didn't roll over and die and go collect money on the fucking sidewalk like you talked about last week. He's like, no, I'm going to adapt. I'm going to put myself to work and go and make a life for myself. I just, you know, adaptability is a word that gets under my caw because too many people take the fucking easy route and don't adapt. They roll over and die and ask for handouts. Johnny.
Well, you know, it's the thing about this. If you make a habit of doing difficult shit every day, and you're doing difficult shit in your business, you're doing difficult shit everywhere, then this whole conversation becomes a little easier because the whole idea of adapting, you know, you're going to adapt when you're doing difficult shit, you know, because you're always looking for a way to make what you're doing a little bit better. If you're going to make the sacrifice, might as well get the paycheck.
So then, Marty, question for you, brother. So let's lean into your customers and your training and the stuff you do with all of your clients. Are we over glorifying the need to change when you're sitting down with a client, or should you focus on refining what's already working? Like, are we overthinking it, Chris? Are we like, fuck it? And somebody's like, no, Chris, I don't need to adapt. I just need to make some fine refinements. How do you address that when somebody says that to you? Marty?
Why would you not go with what works? You know?
Yeah.
A lot of people, you know, I don't know what it is nowadays, but everybody wants to find a new way to get to the same result. A sexier way to get to the same result. It doesn't make any sense. But you know, if boring and simple works, let's do boring and simple, because sexy and quick, it didn't get you sexy and real quick.
You know what, brother, I love this. And you know what the bottom line is? You know what's sexy is the guy that has the balls to do the shit that's not sexy every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't that true though? Right. And that's wildly underrated too. Very much. Right. So listen, 7:46, 8:46 Eastern time, mornings in the lab with Keith, John, Marty. We're talking adaptability with our guest, Adam House. Had a little technical difficulties here. So we're gonna put deep dive on the shelf, and we're gonna move to a segment on the show that I look forward to every single day. And no, it's not me opening the fridge and seeing John's face on my eggs. By the way, coming up in the Apple store in the future, stickers with John's face to put on your eggs to remind you to eat your protein. It's actually happened in my life. I open my fridge and I see John's face on my eggs. Why?
Well, where was my face when you were putting your hands on that big soda?
Yeah. Yeah, where was it? But Keith is the bodybuilder, right?
I love it.
He's the bodybuilder.
I'm stuck without. I'm trying to adapt on the fly here, and I'm failing rapidly. So I'm just going to not say anything. I'm gonna hit this button right here. I think it's this one here. No, I think it's this button right here. And I'm gonna say to my friend John, come and give me a tip. Come and help my life get a little better. For John,
come on, man. Come on, man. Give it to me, Marty. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
There we go. All right. As always, we want some really, really simple, actionable stuff. But today, it's not only actionable, but I really want to get you thinking about a concept here. So, and this is a piece of advice that I got when I was younger, and I cannot tell you how big of a difference it made in all areas of my life. And here's the tip. Work harder on yourself than you work at your job. Now, let's break this down. We all want success. What in your version of success, your definition of success is yours. But usually within that, there's going to be some financial freedom, some good relationships, all this kind of good stuff. And here's the deal. If you want to have bigger and better things, if you want more, you have to become more. So if you commit to daily self-improvement, and you make sure that you focus on your daily self-improvement and you work harder on yourself than you do your job, develop a skill, develop new habits, develop a new mindset. This is the stuff that is going to get you what you want. So remember, always work harder on yourself than you do at your job. Rock and roll.
That always work on yourself harder than you work on your job. Because here's the reality, right? If you don't got yourself, you don't got a job. It's pretty simple. Work on yourself, work on your family, work on yourself, work on your family, and then go do some work. That might work best for you. All right, we're going to come back with a protein break. We're going to get into conversation around nutrition. I'm going to bring Tina back on stage for this one here because her and I were talking yesterday around macros and macronutrients. And guys, I want to continue the conversation around it yesterday because we didn't really finish it. There's so much. People are always coming to me talking about macros and calories and flexible dieting and why you're not seeing results. And truthfully, when I was talking with Tina yesterday, Jon and Marty, she's like, Keith, I don't really have a fucking clue about this macro stuff. And I was quite intrigued by some of the stuff you guys were talking about yesterday. And I was like, yeah, did you know like carbs have, 4 grams or, 4 calories and fats have these kind of calories and proteins have these kind of calories? She's like, what? So I thought that we'd come back to this, guys, because food affects all of us. Jon, Marty, there's guys rolling over today considering hitting the snooze button, trying to hit their biggest goals in life. And boys, they're looking in their fridge, they're looking in their pantries, and they're going, what the fuck do I eat? Do I eat a carb? Do I eat a fat? Do I eat a protein? So let's talk about flexible dieting and why customers are not seeing results. But most importantly, Johnny, I'm gonna look at you first, pal. Let's break down macronutrients. We talked a little bit yesterday around the edges, but let's lean into the 3: protein, fats, and carbs, and the values behind them. Talk about the value of a protein as how it links to a calorie and what the energy value is of protein. Jon Andersen.
Well, so the thing you got to understand, the macro thing, as we discussed before, it breaks down for those of you that weren't here yesterday. It's your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrate. Now, protein has 4 calories. Carbohydrate also has 4 calories. A fat has 9 calories. Now, this is what freaks people out.
Yes.
Now, here's the deal. If you're eating good essential fats, meaning basically nature-made fats, would be a better way to put it, non-man-made fats, those 9 calories are not so scary because those 9 calories will actually nourish your body. But you're eating a man-made fat, those 9 calories are going to wreak havoc on you. So within the macro, there's the calorie, right? Now you have to determine, is that calorie going to be helpful? So the quality of your macro is key. And we discussed a little bit before about how there's different values or different, your body values different types of proteins, which is a macronutrient. So really to get the most mileage out of the macro, you got to understand the macro, but then you also got to understand what's the quality of the macro that you're eating. Because the calorie just tells you how many basically calories there is within the macro, but it doesn't say, is that calorie valuable to the body?
Yes. Yeah. Marty, commenting on, I want to add on to Jon's comments.
Yeah, I want to just to clear it up a little bit. So John said 4 calories. That's per gram, right?
Yes.
So if you want to do the math, with it, right? If you have a piece of chicken breast, and it says that one serving has 20 grams of protein, you're going to multiply 20 times 4. And those 20 grams of protein is going to give you 80 calories. Exactly. So just to, make it a little more practical. And then protein is your most important. That's the most important macronutrient. We need that more than anything else. And then carbs are important as well. But just know that with your carbs, that's your energy, but you got to use some energy, So whether that is lifting weights, whether that's your soul cycle class, whether it's walking, playing with the kids, you got to burn that energy, because if you don't, guess what that turns into? If you eat it in excess, if you eat too much of it, that's going to turn into the belly fat. It's going to turn into the back fat. It's going to turn into everything that you don't want. So make sure that protein is most important, and make sure you're using that energy that you get from the carbs.
I thoroughly love this conversation because it affects everybody. And I know many of you don't want to have to think about math. So you call John. You're like, hey, Johnny, tell me what to eat. And he's going to tell you what to eat. Take all the equations out of it. Some of you, don't want to be having to do extra math and wondering how many carbs, proteins, and fats. So you're going to say, hey, Marty, just set me up with a plan. What I myself personally enjoy about knowing the numbers is it works for me. Instead of somebody saying, hey, eat all this chicken, it allows me to know that, okay, if I need to have 200 grams of protein in my body, I'll go make choices to get that protein in there. But what you don't want to do, and where I think, John, Marty, the risk that many humans take, and I used this example yesterday, is that they think, oh, because I can have macronutrients, I can have my protein, my fats, and my carbs, they go and fill their macros with crap like this. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the problem, nation. So yes, you can go to McDonald's and eat your Reese's peanut butter cups and lose weight and achieve your goals, but you're not going to be healthy. You're not going to have longevity. You want to eat the good quality proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Christina, looking at you as an outsider to this conversation, when you hear this, does it confuse you, concern you, make you curious? What do you think about, and then now as you go through your day looking at food, are you going to look at food with different energy values, Christina?
No, absolutely not. I could give two shits about macros, but there's a reason for it, right? And I think it voices multiple perspectives.
Yes.
I am the kind of person that wants to go to Jon and Marty and say,
yes,
tell me what to do, coach. I'm very coachable. You give me a plan, I'm going to follow it. I don't give a shit. I grew up with eating disorders. So for me, the data is actually harmful because then I start paying too much attention. I don't weigh myself. I don't track macros, because if I get too specific, then I become obsessed. And that obsession leads to unhealthy behaviors. So that's just what I've learned over time. I get the desire to do it. It's just not for me.
So then, Jon and Marty, we talked macros, carbs, proteins, and fats. There's another part of the nutrient equation. So we have calories, we have macronutrients, and then Johnny, I know you're a massive fan and proponent of micronutrients.
Yep.
The chemistry that makes it all come together. Let's educate nation on micronutrients and why we want to place importance on fibers and magnesium and the zincs and all the micronutrients, John, that make it all stick together. Johnny.
Well, first off, just so everybody, we're going to talk about the micros is that's the currency or the value to the body. Yeah. So let's just cut to a real quick chase. If you want to get more food with the micros, just start eating single ingredient foods. When you eat processed foods, the odds are most of the micros have been processed right out of that food.
Yeah.
If it's even real food at all.
Yeah.
So what we got to think about is this. You can have, like Keith just put up that piece of candy. You could have 200 calories, right, of that candy, and you could have 200 calories of a whole real food. And the body looks at those completely differently because the whole real food is going to contain actual substance that the body can use. Another way to put it would be, automobiles are designed to run on gasoline. If we put kerosene in the gas tank, would we wonder why it didn't run properly or broke down? Of course not, because the car was designed to run on gasoline. Well, if we put kerosene in the tank, we got a problem. Well, processed foods. Our bodies were not designed to burn processed foods efficiently. So if you don't feel well, if you've got this slow rippling health issues, it's almost always going to come down to what you're eating.
Yeah. Marty, how do you talk to your clients about micronutrients? And so I'm going to suspect some people come to you like, oh yeah, Marty, I'm not getting my abs because I haven't taken my magnesium. Right. Or they're like, yeah, but Marty, I only have a Kit Kat once a week, or I only have a Reese's peanut butter cup every day. But Marty, there's protein in my Reese's peanut butter cup. Or Marty, how come, these micronutrients aren't giving me the results? How do you talk to your clients around this conversation, especially on the less brunches, especially your clients, Marty?
Yeah, no, I break down everything Johnny just said. Of course, we need the protein, fats, and carbs, but we need vitamins and minerals as well. So are you eating your fruits? Are you eating your vegetables? And I just basically tell them, pick ones that you like and eat those on a regular. You don't have to necessarily always switch it up, but get something that you enjoy. So for myself, I enjoy blueberries. I enjoy strawberries, and then, tangerines, clementines, things of that nature, getting my vitamin C, and I pretty much just stick with those. I switch it up every now and then, might switch to the watermelon one day, but I just do the things that I like. And as far as my vegetables, I do green beans, I do asparagus, pretty much more, and I'll do like spinach and kale salads, but that's what I like. So that's what I eat all the time. And you can keep it real simple. And remember, your food is for fuel. So yeah, you can get bored with it. Like I said, you can switch it up, but remember, this is for fuel. So I'm eating to perform well on this show. I'm eating to perform well in the gym, perform well for my clients, perform well for my family. When I go see mom, I don't want to be a dead fish. I want to have some energy. So remember what you're eating for, and that'll probably change your mindset to make sure you're getting those in on the regular.
Yeah. Let me just extend that a little bit. And Marty, I'm sure you can back this up. When you get someone off the processed foods and you get them eating the real whole foods, at first they think it's kind of boring because like, oh my God, they're so used to all the shit that they were eating before. But what ends up happening about that 2 or 3 month mark, they were eating for purpose, but all of a sudden now they want that food. That real good whole food is something that they desire because their body is saying, I want that. People say, what's your favorite food? My favorite food is steak. It's because my body wants steak. You know what I mean? My body doesn't want pizza. I mean, I eat pizza. I feel like I'm terrible, man. I feel awful. Shit, I eat pizza. I wake up the next day feeling awful because that's, to me, my body doesn't run on that shit. I eat only whole real foods, and I want those whole real foods. I don't want the junk. You just get a Big Mac close to my face and it'd be like, is there a dog turd in this thing? It doesn't smell right to me.
But hold up. You can have whole food, like real food pizza, right? Like we're not talking about, you can make fresh.
Yeah, 100%. If you were to take, but keep in mind, flour, that's basically processed foods. So I don't digest flour well at all of any nature. There's a difference. Like people don't understand, like bread, granted, a lot of people eat bread and a lot of people have no problem eating bread. But some people, they react terribly to bread and they don't know it. I react terribly to bread. If I'm going to eat a carbohydrate, it's going to be a potato or rice because it's single ingredient. It's not been altered by man. So when I say pizza, it's because one way or the next, you got to process part of that to make that pizza. And to me, if it's processed, my body doesn't want it.
Yeah, we got Shinku Gold coming in here in the comments here. Shinku, I appreciate you, man. I know you subscribed to the channel. Hey, reminder to all you tuning in right now. We're working on growing the channel here. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, comment on the channel, share it with your friends. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. But Shinku Gold is coming in here with Nation. I take iron, calcium, zinc, vitamin A, vitamin B complex every single day. And he talks about the fact that steak with broccoli, mushrooms, onion, and jalapenos. I'm getting hungry right now. I hope Lauren's tuning into this because I'm kind of getting hungry thinking about all this right now. Shinko's like, no fast food, all good stuff. Pizza's high in carbs. And he also talks about the fact that I minimize carbs and fats, and I'm getting good results. Johnny, lean into this for a quick minute before we come back with the brand bite with Christina Flynn, but talk about minimizing carbs and fats and getting good results. You first, Marty, second.
I think the first thing, like when someone just said, that I don't eat pizza, too much carbs. Well, first off, those carbs are processed. That's the first problem. So you got to understand that, when you're eating carbohydrate or you're eating fats, are they the right ones? And if you get that out of the way, yes, it's only essential fat. Yes, it's an unaltered version of a carbohydrate. That's going to change the rules of your game altogether. You're playing a different game at that point. And most people just don't have the knowledge of food to understand this. And that's where half the problem is. You have to be educated on food. And that's one of my things. I educate my people on food. I talk to them about food, not numbers. The numbers don't dedicate how many micros are in what they're eating. We talk about the food I need them to eat. Now they're learning, okay, these foods have the nutrients I need. And even better, they start to realize these foods make me react in a way that I want to react. I want to feel that way. I want to look that way. And it's really unique to the individual. But my way of looking at it is to educate someone on how they can eat in a lifestyle that's going to make them feel, look, and perform the way they want to.
Exceptional. Marty, close the comment off before we go to the brand bite and stank nasty. No, this is not pre-recorded. This is a live show, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday to Friday, right here on the channel. Marty.
And I'll just say, a lot of people demonize carbs, but really look at the carbs you're eating. If your carbs are mostly pizza and it's not potatoes, rice, fruits, vegetables, that's why you think carbs suck. That's why you're scared of carbs. So I strongly encourage you not to eliminate carbs from your diet. Really take inventory and, stop demonizing carbs because our body needs it.
Yes. And if I can perhaps close a comment from somebody who's jokingly not the bodybuilder, who leans in much to my friends Jon and Marty to talk about these things, know what your goals are. Know what your goals are. If you're into endurance athletics like Rich, you're probably going to want to have fuel in your body to hit your goals. If you're looking to have a six pack and be very lean, your diet and the things you're doing are going to be very different than what Rich is doing. So know what your goals are, and then go sit down and talk to Marty. Go sit down and talk to Johnny and achieve those goals. All right, guys. Great conversation on the protein break. We clearly are going to keep coming back to this because this is nonstop. It affects every single one of us. And here's what I know, guys. When we start our day, we go through the day, we wonder what the hell we're going to eat. And Jon, I know you, pal, your clients are always saying to you, what should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? And you're like, hey, man, just have a bag of proteins just have a bag of nuts in your pocket.
That would be one of the tips. Yes. And real quick, I do want to put in one little more, one more thought for people here with this whole thing. So one of the things that I do with all of my clients is I do a test with the carbohydrate. And it's basically not to make them carb free or not. It's just to get the reaction from the body. So I do a test with a series of, I test the carbohydrate being that's the macronutrient that's in question, because some people respond really, really well with only fibrous carbs and essential fats. But you have to figure out is that body, is it designed to do that? Is it actually, when I say designed, is its design going to accept that path and operate at a high level? So just keep in mind, there is no single formula for anyone. And Marty's talked about, the value of carbohydrates, and carbohydrates do have value, but just remember they can be used as a tool or they can be used as a crutch. Question is, how are you using them?
Yes. And I'm going to bring Tina on here a quick second. One last comment for you guys is, and Jon said it too, you have to enjoy the process. You have to find a way to enjoy the journey, right? So just because you start with your trainer on Monday doesn't mean you're lean by Tuesday. When your trainer's like, hey, I need you to eat some carbohydrates for the week, you got to trust. You got to trust. And you know that it's a journey over a long period of time. And why do I tell you that, nation? Because I've been that guy. I've been Marty's customer. I've been Jon's customer. I have been that guy who hasn't trusted the process, who's yo-yoed like a motherfucker, who's had to learn the process and enjoy the testing along the way. And you know what? I appreciate you, Shinko Gold, because you said it. You guys cover fantastic topics. Thank you. The channel has to grow. We're trying. We kicked off the show, 75,000 views, and we're doing it every single day here, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday to Friday, mornings in the lab. Christina, you ready to rock and roll the brand bite?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, I got some music for you. Check it out. Yeah, the brand bite, Christina Flynn.
I could live with that one. I'd be good with that one. I'd take that one.
Where you build your personal brand with the boss, Christina Flynn.
All right. So listen, We talk about building your personal brand all the time and how critical storytelling is to that. But we've got storytelling confused. It's powerful. It's the foundation of how we connect and grow and build influence. But let's get one thing straight. It is not trauma spilling. We've come to know storytelling as you better show up. You better show me your most vulnerable self at all times. You better tell me all the shit that you have ever been through. And as your audience, I'm entitled to that. But your personal brand is not built on emotional exposure. It's built on clarity and purpose and intention. Yes, 100% your traumas are real and they're valid, but not every story is meant for public consumption. And not everyone is entitled to your story. So your story isn't your pain, it's your power. And instead of sharing every painful detail, ask yourself, am I sharing this for a connection or am I searching for validation? Does this story align with my purpose and my values? And is this narrative actually moving me and my brand forward? Or am I actually getting stuck in the past? So your story should serve you. It should not overwhelm you. I want you to connect with people. It should inspire action, not invite pity. You're not defined by what has happened to you. And yes, it is valid, but you are defined by how you grow through it. So shift your mindset, reframe the narrative, and that's how you're going to turn your unique skills, experiences, and expertise into your greatest asset.
Every single day here at the top of the hour. Why? Because in a world of fakeness, in a world of AI generated content, you heard it start the show here today. We are living in a world where we don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. We don't know who's real. We don't know who's not real. The idea, the concept, the reality of a personal brand, knowing who you are, putting yourself out there, getting your future employment, getting work, building relationships is more important than ever. And where can you do it? Right here in the Business Athlete Performance Lab. Christina will sit down with you, get to know you, interview you, and put together your brand so you can help take that next step in your life. And we're dropping it every single day here in the lab with tips and bits and bites to help you guys move forward. But we're going to continue the show here, the second part of the show here, the morning loop part 2, but I'm going to kick it off with what I did yesterday. Yes, sirree! All right. Round 2. And I got a lot of success yesterday with that bagpipes.
Success? Says who?
Yeah, I saw the comments in the feeds. People were like, hey, I'm loving the bagpipes. And I
saw the numbers dip. Literally the channel crashed.
I got private messages saying, Bilous, we want to see you and Andersen in the kilt. I'm like, okay, well, hey. And then I got some messages saying, we want to see Bilous, Marty, and Andersen in the kilts. And they said, we want to see you guys go on tour. I'm like, okay. Hey, so you just might see Jon and Keith and Marty doing the kilt tour across North America. Shinku Gold is telling me that the channel is crashing because we are introducing the bagpipes. It's the Morning Loop Part 2. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, Jon, Marty, our producer Christina Flynn here. It's the only show that helps you guys get your day started with bagpipes or not. And we like to talk about content and conversations that help you guys move forward. We kicked off the show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We talked about the fact that we hit 75,000 views here in the last week. We talked about this new product from Google, Notebook LLM, where you never know what's fake. And Johnny was talking about the fact that people are faking. John's friends are getting faked out by Jon calling him, and it's not even Jon. So we talked about that earlier today. We talked about remote work. We talked about macronutrients. And where are we at so far today, Christina? How's the show? How are you thinking the show's going so far today, Christina?
I like it. I like the energy. I like the vibe. Listen, tell me any other show that you can tune in and hear about remote work, macronutrients, adaptability, and see a Dana White clip. I dare you.
That's it. It's exactly it. Only on Mornings in the Lab with Keith, Jon, CMartyFit, and producer Christina Finn. Hey, so I was reading something. We talk about nutrition. We talk about fitness here on the show. We talk about business, entrepreneurship. Arnold Schwarzenegger has shared how improved VO2 max can reduce risk of death by 17% and heart disease by 18%. Jon, Marty, do you guys do you think much about VO2 max? Johnny, especially as we're getting older, is it something you think about in your head, my friend?
I think when it comes down to it, there's a lot of things that we talk about in these details that, can help people and, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, many of these tips are designed for people who didn't stay in the game, meaning they didn't stay on their nutrition. They didn't stay on their exercise. They're not staying on their sleep. So I hate to say it, but some of the stuff, I just don't think about because it doesn't, I've been playing by the rules the whole time. If I wasn't playing by the rules and I, was my health ripple effect was going the wrong way, I might pay closer attention to this stuff. So I think I just look at it. We live a certain way and it gives us what we want, health included.
Yeah. And so when we're talking VO2 max, Nation, it's a measure of the total amount of oxygen used during exercise and is considered one of the leading markers for long lasting health and longevity. And what we talk about here on the show is giving you guys to think about, giving you guys to move yourselves forward with concepts and ideas. And it seems like in the fitness industry, in the health industry, every single year, every single few months, there's a new fad, new concept to think about. The reality is VO2 max, it's really talking about the measurement of the oxygen, used during exercise. And, as Jon has said, if you're looking for a quick fix, you're not getting it up today, all of a sudden improve your VO2 max. Right. So it's learning how to do things on an accumulative basis, day after day after day, to increase that and reduce that risk of death by, reduce your risk of death and reduce, your likelihood of heart disease. Marty, what about you? Do you talk about VO2 max to your clients and do you pay attention?
All the time. Listen, our heart is a muscle. You got to work that muscle, and if you walk up a flight of steps and you're struggling and you huffing and puffing, we need to increase VO2 max. We need to work our heart more. We need to work in some more cardio. And I gave the fitness tip yesterday. I don't know if y'all remember. I talked about, not holding on to the treadmill. Just simple things like that are going to challenge your heart and challenge your cardiovascular. Just do it. You know what I mean? Because it's for your health at the end of the day. Stop arguing with me that you want to hold on to you hold on if you want to, but understand that if we're talking about longevity and we're talking about health and increasing your VO2 max, you got to get a little uncomfortable. It's the truth.
And Marty, Shinku Gold says, Marty's lean and fit and wonder how he gets his cardio. Marty, how do you get your cardio, brother? And listen, let's talk about that. So cardio is not so much, there's cardio for weight loss. There's cardio to get rid of calories and to create a calorie deficit. But there's also cardio, I'm speaking obviously generally, about your heart. Talk about how you use cardio for your heart, Marty.
I mean, I do different things. I'm always switching it up. I do incline walk. I do sprints. I do Stairmaster. Sometimes I superset with the weight, so I get a cardio benefit from the weight. So I do a drop set. I'm always switching jump rope, box jumps. I like to do a lot of athletic things, but I'm always switching it up. I get my cardio in many different ways, but those are probably the main ways right there I just mentioned.
One of the things that Arnold talks about, and here's just some scientific facts, but VO2 max might be a better indicator of mortality rather than your cholesterol, BMI, or blood glucose. And we know that society's rapidly moving away from BMI. You look at a guy like Jon, who's 280 pounds. His BMI is probably going to say that he's 6 foot and he's probably obese. Exactly. It's actually quite bizarre. So let's not pay much attention to the BMI. One study found that people with a stronger VO2 max had a 45% reduced risk for all-cause mortality compared to those with worse scores. That's because VO2 max is possibly the best way to assess cardiovascular health and strength. Tina, looking to you as a female, do you pay any attention to VO2 max? Do you consider it? Is it crossed your mind, or is this somewhat of the first time that it's coming across your purview?
Yeah, literally you said VO2 max. I was like, what the fuck is that? I had no idea what you were talking about. I understand the value of thinking about it. For me, I guess what I wonder, you just said this, like we talk about these concepts all the time of BMI or, like these health standards that are set for us, but it typically takes about 5, 10 or so years. And then we realize, well, with new science, actually, it's kind of full of shit. Is VO2 max like kind of the same as BMI? And just in the future, we're going to look at it and be like, well, we thought it was that thing, but it's really not. It has nothing to do with that. That's why I think simplicity is so key.
Yes. And I got to jump on this, man, because here's the thing. We can focus on VO2 max. We can focus on BMI. We can focus on all this shit that distracts us from doing what we really need to do. So these things don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Move your butt. If you move, if your body moves, And if you eat properly and you sleep properly, all of this fucking shit that we're talking about just drifts away like a fart in the wind.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to this shit is distracting us from, let's figure out BMI. No, how about just make sure that you move every day? If you move every day and you challenge yourself every day with something physical and you eat right, BMI and all, VO2 max, all this stuff just becomes details that just kind of float away. Again, don't get lost in the details. Focus on what matters.
Well, you know what, Johnny, I'm glad you said that. And I got some comments coming from the side here. AA Michael. So these podcasts are for people with lack of discipline to get inspired. Yeah, something like that. We are a show that helps people achieve their big goals, helps people be accountable, give people things to think about as they start their day, give people a reason not to hit the fucking snooze button. You hit the snooze button, you're 9 minutes behind. But here's what I love about what John said. And Tina, it leans into what we talked about yesterday about the algorithm. Everybody gets caught up in so many of the most unimportant things.
Yes.
Just put the work in. Just show up. And as Johnny said before, get moving. And sometimes movement creates momentum, and sometimes that movement creates momentum in the right direction, and then sometimes that movement creates momentum into the right direction. Get moving. Getting caught up in the details often prevents you from moving forward, right? And Schwarzenegger wraps it up this way before we move to John and Marty in the gym. He says this, normally discovering your VO2 max would require all this equipment and all this scientific stuff. Like Johnny just said, get up and go for a fucking walk.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
That's it. Go for a walk, Nation. And now you guys achieve your goals. Marty.
And it goes right into the my lifestyle tip. If you work on yourself, which means eat right, which means a little exercise, that's all part of working on yourself. All this shit just drifts away.
Yes, absolutely. Marty, close it up before we go to in the gym, pal.
I was going to say, hit that comment by Fablic right there. We ain't got enough time to do that.
Oh,
hey,
man.
come on, brother.
Come on, man.
Give it to it. You got 24 hours in your day. You could have been working out before you typed that comment, So you're not busy your whole 24 if you had time to write that comment. You could have been getting a workout in right there.
Brother, let's break that down. There's 24 hours in a loop. You're going to sleep for 8. You're going to work for 8. Oh, shit, there's 8 more left. Let me tell you, you ain't brushing your teeth and taking a shower and taking a dump for 8 hours. What are you doing with the rest of that time, brother? Come on. Come on. Don't say you don't have time. Say you don't want to do it.
And as
mastering his domain.
There's always time. And Fablic says, thanks, guys. Fab, we are here to what's the word? To bully you into doing shit. So get off your ass.
It's all love, too, at the end of the day.
Love. We love you, Fablic. We love you. But hey, here we go. We got AA Michael coming in with, we have patience for the results to show. And when it does, it will naturally motivate you and you will enjoy the process. Absolutely. All right.
And can I say one more on that, too?
Please do. Yeah.
We can talk about little bits of momentum, but you got to track that momentum, too. And it doesn't mean tracking by the minutia. It just means telling yourself, what are the things that you've accomplished day over day, because otherwise it never feels like you're doing anything.
And on that level, I literally teach a daily inventory. Like, okay, let's look at what we've done every day, because when you stack up those little wins, it makes it real easy to keep on going.
Yeah, build confidence.
All right, guys, we're gonna move the conversation to the left. We're gonna invite Jon and Marty into a segment of the show we called In the Gym with Jon and Marty, the only place on the planet you can sit down with one of the world's strongest men, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, one of the greatest D1 athletes of all time, with the greatest less brunches, more crunches merchandise on the planet. Chris Martin, Jon Andersen are going to get into the gym. Tina and Keith are getting off stage for the next 10 minutes. And Chris is going to sit down with Jon and talk to Jon about his strongman career and what it was like being the world's strongest man. Chris Martin, you ready to rock and roll, Johnny?
Quick correction. I was the North American strongest man, never the world's strongest man.
Oh, well, so okay. I say one of the world's strongest men. So thanks for that.
Well, for sure. I mean, I was ranked in the top 10 a few times, top 20 quite often. But in terms of the actual strongest, my biggest title was North American strongest man.
I appreciate that clarity. And you know what I appreciate, Tina and Marty? I love humility. I love when people like Rich are like, yeah, I just went up 17,000 feet and did something pretty good. And I like John, like, yeah, I was not the world's strongest man. I was only the strongest guy in North America, Marty. I was just some guy who's strong in North America, Chris.
And I won that in Canada. I won that in Saskatchewan, which might have been one of the coldest places I've ever been in my entire life.
And the flattest places. You can see from one side of the province to the other.
Man,
that's crazy.
I'm telling you, that was some cold stuff.
All right, John, Marty, you guys got 9 minutes. Let's do it up here. Marty, I want to hear what Johnny's got to say about being North America's strongest man. Tina, let's get out of here.
Hey, Keith, you know I like to dig into people, man.
I know you do, brother. Go do it, pal.
All right, John. So what started you? What got you on this path? Was it after, you owned the gym? Was it after wrestling? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, it goes back to being a slow little bastard. I had some whopping learning disabilities. So my mom recognized this, and we didn't have a TV in the house because she knew that was going to make it worse. And so when I did get to see TV or got to go to the movies, it was very impactful. And I saw the movie Conan the Barbarian for the first time. I'd never even seen Arnold before. I'd never seen a human being like that. And it just, it hit me in the chest. And, shortly after this time is when I started to discover that I was good at lifting weights. And so really the journey kind of came along from the fact that I realized I had success lifting weights. And then I started to realize as I was getting good at lifting weights that I was, and keep in mind, I had gotten rid of the fat boy was gone. I was a pretty jack looking dude. But I recognized, and some of my training partners are telling me that I was far stronger than I looked. So I had this, I don't know, I guess you'd say as an edge with lifting heavy shit, not just looking the part. And so ultimately, I trained, all through college and, came out of college. And in my mind, I still got the mind of the fat little boy. So I didn't believe that I was strong enough to do it. Looking back, I was. I just didn't believe in myself yet. And so it came down to what really pulled the trigger for me was one of my training partners. He said, look, we've been training together for 10 years and you're the strongest guy wherever we go by a long shot. He's all, I don't have that strength. You left me in the dust a long time ago. He said, if you won't compete for yourself, do it for me. And I was like, whoa. Okay, I guess I need to pull up my panties and give this a crack. And so at that point, I went to my first contest, won it, qualified for a national, won it, went to the pro nationals and placed high enough to get on the international team, and off I went.
So what kind of lifts do those involve? Like squat, deadlift, bench? What kind of lifts were you doing?
Yeah, I mean, strongman is like, of course, there's, you're dealing with squats and deadlifts, but you're pulling airplanes and lifting up Atlas stones and flipping over cars. A lot of real functional shit. And, one of the things that I really had to learn with my training in strong was I had to really understand that I needed to pursue failure because you were basically given a time limit to do as much as you could in that time limit, which means you were going to fail. And if you were stepping in, when your name was called and you came out of the tent and the cameras were on, if you were afraid to fail, you weren't going to do very well. I mean, of course, you're driven by failure, but you're going after it because when you're pursuing failure, you're getting deeper into the process. So I taught myself to pursue failure in the gym, where I would most people when they're squatting, the squat in the cage, in the squat rack. So me realizing I needed to take things to the next level and teach myself to truly pursue failure, I started squatting on the outside. So I would move the hooks to where basically when I stood up and took a step back, there was nothing around me. And I would tell my training partners to get back because I had zero intention of putting it away. I was going to crash. I was going to fail. And so I would, shit, man, at this time I'm putting like 700 pounds on there and I'm going after just all I'm trying to do is get one more rep than the last time. And when you realize that pursuit of failure brings you it bears so much fruit. The outcome is so massive, that right there really kind of taught me how to pursue failure. And what I learned in the gym, I just carried that into business. I carried it into everything, but especially into strongman. When I learned to literally go out there and pursue failing is when I really started to excel.
So tell us about the time, you got your ass kicked. Was it a person? Was it a bad day? And how did that get you to the next level? Like, what did you do to overcome that and hit those goals and become the strongest man in North America?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, when it comes down to it, if you're not getting your ass kicked, I guess the question you're asked for a day or a circumstance, and I guess
like a scenario. Give us a story time.
And I guess what I'm just thinking out loud here. My first reaction to that is I was always trying to find a situation where I was getting my ass kicked. And so especially in training, when you're getting your ass kicked, you're getting better. And so what that prompted me to do was to basically go and seek training partners that were better than me in these disciplines. So I had a training partner for the power lifts, because power lifts, squat and deadlift was a big part of strongman. I had a training partner for the actual events themselves, for strongman events. I had a training partner for Olympic lifting. And so their job as my training partner and coach was to kick my ass. So I got my ass kicked all the time. And what it would be is it would basically be me pushing myself as far as I thought I could go, knowing that training partner coach was going to find a way to get me to take one more step or one more rep. And so when it comes down to it, like I'll tell a story of often what I would do to practice this is I would take 405, or I would take basically 4 plates or 5 plates or 6 plates, which is 405, 595, or 585. And I would use this as an exercise with squat. But what I would do is I would basically use this as an opportunity to get my ass kicked, because, like, for example, on a set of 405, man, I was doing in the 40 reps in one set. And so what I was getting myself in a position where I knew I was going to get my ass kicked. And I did this very regularly. And my training partner's job was to make sure that I got past where I thought I could go. So, in a set like, for example, doing like, 495, 5 plates aside, 27 was my best on that one. And anytime I got over 20, I mean, it was 21 was just hammer time. 22 was even more. So I would get myself in these positions, and I would basically just start biting it off one at a time. I say, you know what? I know I can do one more. And I take a deep breath, and I go down and I come back up. And I know I can do one more. And at this point, I'm not counting, because my training partner is doing the tallying for me. I'm just biting off one, because I don't want, it's at that point, can I do one more?
It's a distraction.
It's the only question I have is can I do one more? And even when I would crash, we basically fail, meaning I couldn't stand back up, I still believed I could do one more, because that belief was what allowed me to get through all of those, the reps up to that point. I mean, because that voice in your head is saying, you're going to die. You're a dipshit. What are you doing? Go home. It's saying everything it needs to do to get you out of there. But you break it down to the most simple format. And when you're really, really enduring discomfort, you break it down into these little micro steps, because you can take one more breath. You can take one more step. You can get one more rep until you don't. And usually when all the dust settles, you've made it further than you did before. And that right there is, that's a philosophy that I applied to all areas of my life that has served me extraordinarily well.
In the Gym with Jon and Marty. What a great segment. Marty, you want to wrap it up, pal? I was listening in right from beginning to end here, because I love hearing the story about Jon's journey, and Marty, some great questions. But Marty, you want to close it up with Johnny, pal?
Yeah. First of all, great story. But anybody who's scared to chase failure or scared to chase that ass kicking, what are some words for them, Johnny?
I think when it comes down to it, you're only scared of what you don't know. Because number one, getting your ass kicked doesn't hurt as bad as the anxiety that you're having about getting your ass kicked. And then number two, getting your ass kicked actually makes you feel really good. And once you start to realize, holy shit, I need an ass whooping to feel that way, the ass whooping is just the step that you got to take to get the feeling that you're chasing.
And Johnny, talk about the fact that when we hear ass whooping, like it's not for hours, it's like it's seconds, right? And it's seconds, it's minutes, and it's recognizing that those seconds of ass whooping pain make you feel exceptional for the other 24 hours of the day, and lean into that, because there's somebody right now that's about to fucking do something. They're like, I don't want to do it. Tell them that it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It's not even a fucking minute of kick-ass pain to achieve greatness, John.
Well, I think that what you got to remember is that the pain is temporary, but what you achieve from the pain, you getting a little bit better, when you cross that barrier of pain or getting your ass kicked, guess what? You get to meet a slightly better version of you on the other side of that. And when you start to think, man, what does that son of a bitch look like? What is he, how strong is he? What's his mental attitude? Because I know he's a little better than me, and I can't wait to get in his skin.
Oh, that's exceptional. Good advice, good information, good conversation in the gym with Jon and Marty every single day at 9:15 Eastern time. The only place you're going to get expert advice and stories and experiences from these two guys. And I just want to acknowledge a couple guys here in the comments. Double A Michael, I appreciate you joining us. Great comments in the feed. Shinku Gold, of course, great comments in the feed as well. Very much appreciate you guys. And if you haven't already, I know you guys have, I invite you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share with all your friends, tell everybody. Shinku, I appreciate, we're trying to build the biggest morning show for men to help people get there and hit their biggest, most audacious goals. So any love you can share with everybody, we very much appreciate that. Okay, so we're wrapping up. The show is working towards its end here. We're working in the last segment here. We're calling the Community Corner, where we now like to take our light and shine it on folks like you, Shinku, shine it on folks like Double A Michael. John's going to walk on over to the restroom there, get a break out of his body, and then as he's walking way back, we're going to celebrate some of the Creator Spotlight. So Johnny, you make your way out of here, pal, and we'll see you back here in a second. And Christina, Marty, let's do what we like to do this part of the show. And Jimmy, let's celebrate somebody who is from New York City, manager, social media strategist at Time Magazine. I've been to Time Building. Tina, I've been there. I've been to the Time Building. It's funny because I was up on that stage. I went to the floor of the Time Building in New York City, and I was like, there's nobody here. It was like a library. It's like all quiet and shit. But anyway, so this person's a manager, social media strategist, creator, speaker. You have fun. AAA Michael, have a great day today. A U.S. LinkedIn creator, the Accelerator alumni. Follow her to talk all things social media, its effects on culture, and as a career. This human who we are celebrating today is one of 120 chosen for LinkedIn's U.S. Creator Accelerator program, building a community around social media management and emerging tech. She's a creative entrepreneur. She creates content across platforms, partnering with brands like Hootsuite and Dash Hudson, and her work has been highlighted in Business Insider, Adweek, Entrepreneur, and as a social media expert in Time Studios and Peacock's When Truth Isn't Truth, the Rudy Giuliani story. So today we are going to celebrate the LinkedIn Creator Spotlight. Tina, I'm going to call you up here in a second for the why we're highlighting. But today we are spotlighting for the Creator Spotlight on LinkedIn. Once I get my buttons all sorted out here and get all my everything sorted out here, Jimmy. Yeah, we are going to do this here. Today's Creator Spotlight is Tamika Bazil. Tamika is from New York City metropolitan area. She's got a couple followers. Tina, why are we celebrating Tamika today for Creator Spotlight?
Tamika, to me, is the model with which you want to build your personal brand. She has a full-time job. She works at Time. Her and I met when we were in the Web3 and NFT world. And she's just building very intentionally. She talks about the fact that she wants to be an influencer. She's like, fuck it. Can we just say that? I want to be an influencer. I want to build a platform. I want to talk about the things I want to talk about and create a space for discussions that I'm not seeing anywhere else. And so she brings you along this journey. She's particularly beneficial to follow if you are somebody who, one, wants to build that personal brand, but two, take your skills and highlight them as a way of building your personal brand. So she is an all-star on social media. You can also follow her on TikTok as well. But she's just a great model of somebody to look to say, okay, if I've got this skill in this area, what's a way that I can share and educate people on that skill so that they can learn from me, therefore get connected to me, and I can build a bigger platform based on that information and that audience. So I think she's just a fucking powerhouse, to be honest. And she's so real all the time being herself. It's really refreshing.
Awesome. Tamika Bazil, we are celebrating you on the Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight, where we take a light, we shine it on people on the LinkedIn platform, and we celebrate you. Why? Because we want to. Why? Because nobody else does. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. We love to celebrate good humans, great work right here, Mornings in the Lab. So Tamika, we officially are inviting you to join our show where you can celebrate somebody who's having an impact on you. Tamika Bazil, congratulations on your Creator Spotlight celebration. All right, so guys, team, wow, 97 minutes has gone by. We are working on wrapping up today's show again. What a fun show again. A lot of energy coming in. We talked adaptability with Adam House. We talked about AI. We talked about Johnny's friends being called by fake Johnny. So we kicked off the show with, if mom and dad and you're getting phone calls from people you think is somebody like John or Marty or Keith, it might not be. We're living in a world now where there's more fake content out there than ever. So be wary of the phone calls being made into your house. What else we talked about? We talked about Dana White. And we talked about work from home, and maybe everybody's going back to work in 2027. And admittedly, Christina, I did not do the best job at looking. We had some great comments that I put into the LinkedIn feed yesterday around this work from home topic. So those of you tuning in right now, I apologize we didn't get it back into that. Perhaps we'll get back into that later this week, because it's clear that the work from home, remote work stuff is a hot button for everybody. We talked about macronutrients. We talked about micronutrients. We talked about VO2 max, but most importantly, we talked about moving. We talked about don't get caught up in all the details. Get up, get moving, walk towards failure. Going around the table and wrapping it up. Favorite part of the show today, Chris Martin.
Man, favorite part of the show. It was a great show. I think me and John on the macro and micronutrients, I think that was a great segment.
Yep, I agree. I
did want to add, I got a fake TikTok out there too. So messages on TikTok.
You made it.
It ain't me.
Are you serious? Tell me about this. Tell me about this.
Yeah, there's literally a fake TikTok, and they write the captions like it's me. Like they write the same way I make jokes and my sarcasm, they're doing the same thing. So it's kind of creepy.
So be on the lookout for the fake CMartyFit telling you to have more brunches and less crunches. Because Chris is going to tell you to have less brunches and more crunches. The fake guy is going to tell you to have more brunches and less crunches.
Exactly.
Johnny, favorite part of the show today, brother? What'd you take from today's show, pal?
There's a lot of good stuff. I think I always kind of look for, I always look for a good takeaway. And, if all of what we talked about, if you take and you look at your daily rhythm, your daily loop, your 24-hour loop, and if you start implementing different behavior patterns, habits, whatever you want to call them, sometimes people don't like the word habit, but if you start implementing a few of these positive changes into your day, and they don't have to be big ones, so many of the issues that we talked about get solved all by themselves.
Yes, very, very true. Just got to put the work in and get to work. Tina, final word to you before we say goodbye.
I mean, we talked about it from the AI perspective. It can be scary if you're putting yourself out there when this is the new reality. I think So Young Park, I saw a comment like, it makes me want to not do this. I think I want to challenge that. And this is the reason why you need to do this. Yeah. Because if you do it half-ass, it'll be very easy for somebody to take your storyline and make it whatever the fuck they want. If you're out there right now, you're building this body of work, you're building this content, nobody is going to be able to question you, your intentions, your values, your morals, and the way in which you're building. So get in front of it. Don't try to catch up afterwards.
Yeah, and on that level, when you find yourself not wanting to do something, it's almost a guarantee that's what you should be doing.
Oh, that's magic, because you know what? I got a leg day coming up here, and I'm sitting here right now, boys. I do not want to do it because it's going to be a tough one. But you know what that means, Johnny? I got to go
get at it, baby. Get at it.
Exactly right. So, and you know what, Tina? I love that you said around this fact that if you don't control it, somebody else is going to. And Nation, if you've been listening to the show, you've already heard it. There's a fake Jon Andersen out there. there's a fake Christopher Martin out there. There's probably a fake Keith Bilous out there, and I'm sure there's a fake Christina Flynn out there.
There is on Instagram.
But what you will find is a real John, a real Keith, a real Marty, and a real Flynn every single day, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, giving you guys content and conversation to help start your day and help you achieve the most biggest, hairiest, audacious goals in your life with stacking habits day after day. Team, let's get out of here. Let's come back tomorrow. Welcome Rich Ingram into the lab. Talk some endurance, talk some mental resilience, and keep rocking and rolling with Business Athlete Nation. For all of you that joined in, Double A Maiku, Shinku Gold, So Young, fuck all of you. Thank you for showing up today. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you all tomorrow.